When Maya first saw Keanu Reeves at the small art cafe downtown, she did not even know it was him. She had come there with a friend to celebrate her birthday, hoping for just one good day. The year had been so cruel to her. Her father had passed away suddenly, leaving her mother struggling with rent. Maya worked 2 jobs just to pay the bills and keep her younger brother in school. Every day felt like the walls were closing in, but on her birthday, her best friend insisted she take one night off. Inside the cafe, the lights were soft, and the smell of fresh coffee and warm pastries made everything feel a little safer. Maya laughed for the first time in weeks, her eyes shining with hope she had almost forgotten. It was then she noticed a quiet man sitting alone at the far corner, wearing a simple black jacket and a gentle smile. He looked so familiar, yet so ordinary, as if he had walked out of a dream right into her broken reality. Her friend gasped and whispered, "Maya, that's Keanu Reeves." But Maya did not believe her. She thought celebrities did not sit in small, forgotten cafes where the wallpaper peeled and the ceiling fan squeaked every time it turned. Her friend, bold and always curious, dragged Maya across the room. They apologized for interrupting him, but Keanu just smiled, looking up with eyes so kind that Maya's heart felt warmer than the coffee she held in her hands. "Happy birthday," he said when he heard it was her special day. His voice was soft, calm, and yet it carried a strength Maya could not understand. He did not act like a superstar. He asked about her life, about her dreams, about her family. For a moment, Maya forgot the weight she carried every day. They spoke for 15 minutes that felt like 15 years of comfort she had been missing. At the end, Keanu asked if they wanted a picture to remember the moment. Maya hesitated, feeling shy and unsure, but her friend snapped it anyway. A single photo, Maya, with her birthday candle half melted. Keanu beside her with that gentle smile, to worlds crossing for just a heartbeat. The next morning, Maya's friend posted the photo online. They thought it would make people smile, maybe even bring some light into a dark world. But Maya did not know that her small act of happiness would become the reason everything else in her life would fall apart. By afternoon, the picture had gone viral. People started calling Maya lucky. Strangers messaged her, asking what Keanu said, how he smelled, what he was really like. Some were kind, but many were cruel. They mocked her cheap clothes, the chipped paint on the cafe wall, the tired look in her eyes. They said she did not deserve to be near him. They called her names that made her throat tighten and her hands shake when she held her phone. It did not stop there. Someone dug up her workplace and posted where she worked. The customers at the bookstore where she stacked shelves came in just to point and laugh. Some demanded she quit, saying she was using Keanu's name for attention. Her manager, an old man who always had one eye on his profits, pulled her aside one evening. "Maya, I am sorry," he said, looking at the floor. "The attention is bad for business. You're a good worker, but I can't keep you here if customers keep complaining." And just like that, Maya lost her first job. She thought she could survive with her second job at the diner. But that night, a group of college boys came in. They recognized her, giggling behind their phones, taking pictures without asking. One leaned in close, whispering something that made Maya's skin crawl. When she told her manager, he shrugged. "Customers are always right," he said, handing her the last paycheck. Maya walked home that night under the cold rain, her hair sticking to her cheeks, the photo of her and Keanu buried deep in her pocket. She had nothing left but that single moment when she had felt special, when someone had looked at her like she mattered. She reached her small apartment, unlocked the door, and found her mother sitting in the dark, staring at a pile of unpaid bills. Her brother peeked out from his room, his face worried. Maya did not know what to say. She had thought the photo would be a memory of hope, but now it was a ghost that followed her everywhere, haunting her, reminding her how fragile happiness could be. And yet, somewhere deep inside, Maya felt something stir, a small voice that said she could not give up now. She did not know how, but she promised herself she would find a way to turn this pain into something more. She just did not know that the path ahead would test her kindness, her strength, and her spirit in ways she could never imagine. * The days After Maya lost her jobs felt like a long, endless night. She barely left her small apartment, afraid of the whispers and the pointing fingers. The photo that once made her smile now burned in her mind like an old wound that would not heal. Her phone kept buzzing with messages, some kind, but most filled with hate or cruel jokes. She turned it off and hid it in her drawer, hoping the world would forget her soon. Her mother, Sita, tried to be strong. She cooked small meals with what little they had left, always giving Maya the biggest portion and saying she was not hungry. Her younger brother, Arjun, only 11 years old, stopped asking for pocket money for school. He hugged Maya every morning before leaving, whispering, "It will get better, Didi. I know it will." His hope made Maya's heart ache more than the hunger in her belly. One evening, Maya sat alone in her tiny bedroom, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was how dreams died, not with a scream, but with silence. She thought of the night at the cafe, of Keanu's warm eyes and soft words. He had told her, "Never let the world decide your worth. You are enough." She repeated those words in her mind like a prayer, but they felt so far away now. The next morning, Maya forced herself to get up. She had heard of a small community center nearby where people could look for odd jobs. She washed her face, tied her hair back, and put on her cleanest shirt, even though it was thin and faded. Her mother watched her from the door, worry etched deep in her tired face. "Be careful, Beta," Sita said. "People can be cruel, but don't let them steal your goodness." At the center, Maya waited in line behind men with sunburnt faces and women who held crying babies in their arms. The woman at the counter barely looked at her when Maya asked for work. "Nothing today," she said, shoving a paper toward her. "Try tomorrow. Maybe you'll get lucky." As Maya turned to leave, she heard a voice behind her. "Maya, Maya, wait." She spun around to see a young man, about her age, with curly hair and a notebook tucked under his arm. His name was Raj. They had gone to the same college for a year before Maya dropped out to help her family. Raj had always been kind, the type who held the library door open and shared his lunch when someone forgot theirs. "Raj, what are you doing here?" Maya asked, surprised to see a familiar face in this place that smelled of stale air and hopeless dreams. "I come here sometimes to help with resumes," Raj said, a shy smile on his lips. "You know, write them for free. Help people apply for work online. It's not much, but..." He shrugged. Maya felt her eyes sting. She realized how long it had been since someone spoke to her like she was human. She told Raj everything. How she lost her jobs, how the photo ruined her life, how the world twisted something pure into a weapon against her. Raj listened without interrupting, his eyes kind, his hands still clutching that small notebook as if it was his only shield against the world. "Maya, you did nothing wrong," Raj said. "You were just you. They don't get to decide who you are. That doesn't change my rent," Maya whispered. She felt the tears finally break through. Raj gently touched her shoulder. "Come with me. I know someone who might help." Raj took her to a small printing shop run by an old woman named Amadevi. The shop smelled of ink and paper, and the walls were covered in posters of local plays and poetry nights. Amadevi squinted at Maya through thick glasses and asked, "Can you type? Can you answer phones?" Maya nodded. "Yes, Emma. I will do anything." "Then sit," Emma said, pointing to a rickety chair behind the counter. "I can't pay you much, but it's honest work. Just don't let the boys from the internet scare you. They talk big, but their words are empty." Maya felt something crack inside her, a crack that let in a small sliver of light. For the first time in weeks, she felt useful. She answered calls, helped customers, even swept the dusty floor. Amadevi paid her a few coins each evening and sent her home with leftover snacks wrapped in newspaper. Raj dropped by every day, checking on her, bringing her new job leads, sitting with her when the world felt too heavy. But outside the printing shop, the photo would not die. People still whispered. Some customers refused to be served by her. One night, when Maya was locking up, she found a note stuck to the door. It said, "Go back to your hole, fame beggar." She wanted to cry, but Amadevi just tore the note up and threw it away. "Their words mean nothing if you don't let them live in your head," Emma said. Still, Maya wondered if her life would ever be normal again. She lay awake at night, listening to her mother's quiet sobs through the thin walls. She knew she needed more than this tiny job to survive, but she had no idea that somewhere, far away, someone else was thinking about that photo too, someone who would change everything once again. Because on the other side of the world, Keanu Reeves was sitting in his trailer between film scenes, staring at the same photo. He remembered Maya's shy smile, the way she had looked so grateful for just 15 minutes of kindness. He had no idea his simple gesture had cost her so much, and when he found out, he would not stand by and do nothing. As Keanu sat alone in his trailer, holding his phone with both hands. The movie set outside was busy with people running cables, adjusting lights, and calling out instructions. But inside, it was quiet enough for him to hear his own thoughts. He stared at the photo again, Maya's eyes wide with surprise, the birthday candle still flickering behind her. He remembered that night so clearly. Her story had touched him, though she never complained once about her life. Instead, she had thanked him for listening, like she did not deserve to be heard. When his assistant, Lucy, came in with a cup of tea, Keanu showed her the photo. "Do you know what happened to her?" he asked. Lucy glanced at the screen and then at Keanu's face, which looked more tired than usual. "People online have been cruel," Lucy said carefully. She had seen the comments. She had seen how Maya's name had been dragged through gossip sites. She lost her jobs. Some say she's hiding. Keanu's jaw tightened. He hated that his simple moment of kindness had brought someone pain. He thought about all the times he had seen people torn apart by fame they never asked for. He put the cup down and stood up. "Find her," he said softly. "I want to help." It took a few days. Keanu's team reached out through local contacts in Maya's city. But Maya, scared of strangers pretending to be someone they were not, ignored the first few calls. Raj was the one who convinced her to listen. He showed her the email from Keanu's real manager, with kind words and an offer to speak privately. "What if it's another trick?" Maya asked Raj. She was tired, her eyes heavy with the burden of hope that always turned to ash. "Then we block them," Raj said. "But what if it's real, Maya? What if he really wants to help?" So, one rainy afternoon, Maya sat on Devi's old wooden stool, clutching Raj's hand as they joined a video call. The screen flickered, and then, there he was, Keanu, sitting in a simple room, wearing a gray sweater, his hair slightly messy, his eyes warm and worried. "Hi, Maya," he said, his voice like a soft blanket on a cold night. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know things got this bad." Maya's throat tightened. She tried to speak, but the words tangled up. Raj squeezed her hand, and she finally whispered, "It's not your fault." But Keanu shook his head. "Maybe not my fault, but I feel responsible. You didn't deserve any of this. You deserve better." For the first time, Maya saw the same kindness in his eyes that she had seen that night at the cafe, only deeper now. Mixed with regret, they talked for almost an hour. Maya told him about losing her jobs, about the note on the door, about her mother and Arjun. Keanu listened to every word, nodding, never once looking away. "Do you have enough to live right now?" he asked. Maya shook her head. She hated admitting it, but the truth spilled out like a broken dam. "We are behind on rent. My mother is sick. I work for Devi now, but it's not enough. I don't want pity, but I don't know what else to do." Keanu's eyes softened. "I don't want to give you pity. I want to give you a chance. Would you let me help?" Maya's heart pounded. She was afraid to hope. "How?" "I run a small charity," Keanu explained. "We help people who get hurt by things out of their control. We can pay your rent for a few months. We can cover your mother's treatment. And if you want, I'll fly you to one of our events. I'd like you to speak there. Tell your story. Your real story. Not what the gossip site said." Maya's hands trembled. "Speak, me? I don't know how. You know how to be real." Keanu said. "That's enough." Raj grinned beside her. Devi, who had been listening from behind the counter, wiped her eyes with her sari. "Say yes." "Beta," she said. "This is your chance." Maya looked at Keanu through the screen, her mind spinning. She thought about her mother, about Arjun, about the nights she lay awake wondering if the world would ever be kind again. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will try." Keanu smiled, and for a moment, Maya felt like that scared girl in the cafe again, but stronger now. "One more thing," Keanu said. "I want to meet you again. Not as a fan, as a friend. Will you let me?" Maya nodded, for the first time since the photo went viral. The shadows in her mind lifted just a little. Maybe kindness was not dead. In this world, maybe hope could survive, even in the cracks left behind by cruel words. But Maya had no idea that this new chance would come with its own challenges, and that her journey was far from over, because not everyone wanted her to rise again. Some people hated to see someone they tried to break stand up taller than before. Maya's mother sat on the edge of her bed that night, looking at Maya as if she were seeing her for the first time. The room was small, the paint peeling near the ceiling, but it felt warmer than it had in months. There was hope now, real hope. Not the weak kind that disappeared when the landlord knocked for rent. "Are you sure, Beta?" Sita asked, her hands resting on Maya's. "This Keanu, you trust him?" Maya smiled a tired but true smile. "Yes, May. He didn't just promise money. He promised a chance. And I believe him." Arjun, listening from the doorway, ran in and hugged his sister tight. "Does this mean you don't have to leave us, Didi?" "No one's leaving anyone," Maya said, kissing the top of his head. "I'm staying. We're going to fix this together." The next few days moved like a gentle storm. Keanu's team wired enough money to cover their rent for 6 months. They paid off the electricity and water bills that had been piling up like angry shadows. A good doctor came to see Sita, and for the first time, she got proper medicine for her heart condition. Maya still worked for Amadevi at the printing shop, but now she could breathe between the hours. She even smiled at customers who used to look away. Then one morning, Raj brought her a package, an envelope with a plain ticket inside and a simple note. "Come share your story. Come remind the world that kindness still matters." Maya held the ticket in her shaking hands. She had never been on a plane before. The furthest she had ever gone was the next town on a crowded bus, standing for 2 hours because she could not afford a seat. Raj walked her home that evening. They sat on the steps outside her building, watching Arjun kick a flat football in the courtyard. "You know they're still talking about you, right?" Raj said gently. Maya nodded. She had seen the gossip sites twist the story again. They called her greedy now, said she was taking Keanu's money to become famous for nothing. Some people wrote that she should give the money to charity instead, as if she did not deserve a roof or her mother's medicine. "Let them talk," Maya said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were curled into fists for once. "I won't let them decide who I am." "Good," Raj said. "And when you're on that stage, tell them everything. The truth will choke their lies." A week later, Maya sat by the plane window, staring at the clouds as they floated below like pieces of a dream. The seat belt dug into her waist, but she did not care. Her heart raced every time she remembered what lay ahead. Keanu's team had arranged everything. The hotel, the clothes, even someone to help her write her speech. Yet Maya could not stop her fear from whispering, "What if I fail? What if I freeze on stage?" When she landed, someone with a kind smile and a sign with her name took her to the hotel. She stood in the room, stunned by the softness of the bed, the way the lights turned on with a small click. It was a world away from her tiny flat back home. But she did not let the comfort make her forget why she was here. The next day, the event hall buzzed with people. Reporters, volunteers, and guests with name tags walked around like bees in a garden. Maya waited backstage, her palms sweating, her heart thudding so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. Raj had stayed home, but Amadevi had slipped a small paper in her pocket before she left. It said, "Speak from your truth. That is enough." When Keanu walked in, wearing simple clothes and a smile that still held that same warmth, Maya felt her knees shake. He hugged her like an old friend. "Are you ready?" he asked. "No," Maya said honestly. Then she laughed, a sound that felt like sunlight. "But I'm going to do it anyway." Keanu squeezed her shoulder. "That's the spirit." When they called her name, Maya stepped onto the stage. The lights were bright, blinding at first. She saw so many faces, some curious, some doubtful, some waiting to see her fail. She took a deep breath and began to speak. She told them about the photo, how a moment of kindness turned into a storm of cruelty, how strangers made her life hell because they wanted something to mock. She spoke of losing her jobs, her fear, her mother's sickness, and the note on the door that tried to break her. But then, she told them about Devi, about Raj, about Aryan's little hug when she had nothing left. She spoke of how Keanu came back into her life, not as a star but as a human who cared enough to do something. She did not hide her tears when they came. They were part of her truth. When she finished, the hall was silent for a moment that felt like forever. Then someone clapped, and then another, and then the whole room rose, their hands coming together like thunder. Maya looked at Keanu in the front row, his eyes shining with quiet pride. Later that night, back in her hotel room, Maya sat alone by the window, looking at the city lights below. She did not know what would come next. She did not know if the gossip would ever stop. But for the first time, she felt bigger than the fear that had caged her for so long. Yet even as she drifted off to sleep, the world outside was shifting. Someone in that crowd had recorded her whole speech and posted it online. Most people saw her truth and clapped with their hearts. But some did not. Some people still wanted her to fail. And those people were not done yet. Maya flew back home, with her heart lighter than it had been in months. The flight felt faster this time. She pressed her forehead to the cold window, watching the clouds drift by, and thought about the people who had stood up and clapped for her truth. For once, the whispers in her mind were not doubts, but tiny sparks of hope that maybe, just maybe, she had done something right. When she reached her small apartment, Sita hugged her so tight Maya thought her bones might break. Arjun danced around the room, telling her he had watched her speech on Devi's tiny old television. "You look like a hero, Didi," he shouted, his eyes wide with pride. The first week back felt like a gentle dream. The printing shop was busier than ever because people came just to see Maya, not out of mockery but respect. Customers brought gifts for her mother, groceries, and small donations slipped under the counter when they thought she wasn't looking. Raj smiled every time he saw her, his eyes shining like he knew this was just the start. But hope is fragile, and the world has a way of testing it when you least expect it. One night, Maya was closing up the shop when Raj burst through the door, his face pale, his phone clutched tight. "Maya, you need to see this," he said, pulling her to a corner. He showed her a video that made her stomach twist. Someone had cut parts of her speech and twisted her words. They edited it to make her look ungrateful, greedy, like she was bragging about getting money from Keanu. It was spreading fast. People were sharing it with cruel captions, calling her a liar. A famed -hunter. Maya single quotes as hands shook. "Why would they do this? I didn't say any of this. People like drama." Raj said softly, "Some people can't stand seeing you stand up again. They want you back down where they can laugh at you." The comments were worse than before. They called her a scammer. They said she was using her mother's sickness as an excuse to get rich. Some even threatened her, saying they would come find her and teach her a lesson for faking her pain. Maya's heart pounded in her ears. She remembered the note on the door, the boys at the diner, the customers who mocked her at the bookstore. The fear returned like an old friend, whispering that she was foolish to think she could ever be more than their punching bag. "I should never have gone," she whispered. "I should have stayed quiet." Raj's voice cut through her panic. "No, Maya, you told the truth. They are twisting it. But the truth is still there. We will fix this." But Maya could not sleep that night. She lay awake, listening to her mother's gentle breathing in the next room. She thought of Arjun, so small and proud, not knowing the world could be so cruel. She opened her phone and read the threats, the vile words that made her feel dirty and broken. She wanted to disappear, to take the photo and burn it, to erase her name from every mouth that spoke it. In the morning, she stayed in bed. Raj came to the shop alone, telling Devi that Maya was sick. When Raj visited her later, he found her curled up by the window, staring out at the gray sky. "Maya, you can't hide," Raj said gently. "If you hide, they win. You can't let them win." "What if I can't fight anymore?" Maya whispered. I'm so tired, Raj, every time I stand up. They push me back down. Raj sat beside her, his voice steady. Then let us help you stand. You're not alone this time. You have me. You have Amma Devi. You have your family. And you have Keanu. He won't let this stand either. Maya looked at him, her eyes wide. But how can he help now? The damage is done. You forget who you're dealing with, Raj said with a small smile. He's not just a star. He's a man who keeps his promises. The next day, Raj made a call, then another. Maya did not know what he said, but by evening, her phone buzzed with a message from Keanu's assistant, Lucy. We know what's happening. We won't let this stand. Stay strong. Keanu wants to talk. Maya sat in Amma Devi's back room that night, her hands clutching her old chipped teacup. The video call connected, and Keanu's face appeared again. His hair was longer now, a soft beard framing his kind eyes. Maya, he said, I've seen the lies. I'm so sorry, but we're going to fix this. How? Maya asked, her voice cracking. They hate me. They want me gone. Keanu's eyes were calm but fierce, a quiet fire that made Maya believe he would not stop. You gave them your truth. Now it's my turn. Trust me. When the call ended, Maya looked at Raj, hope flickering in her tired eyes. She did not know what Keanu planned. She did not know if it would work. But somewhere deep inside, the small voice that had always told her to keep fighting whispered again, don't give up. Not yet. What Maya did not know was that Keanu's plan was bigger than just clearing her name. It would test her courage like never before, because the world was about to see a side of him, and of her, that no one could twist into a lie. Maya stood outside the small community hall, her hands tucked deep into the pockets of her worn sweater. The wind bit at her cheeks, but she barely noticed it. Inside, the place buzzed with people, neighbors, old customers from the bookstore, Amma Devi and her friends, even strangers who had come because they had seen the truth online. Raj stood beside her, holding her phone, ready to stream everything for the world to see. 3 days ago, Keanu's team had posted the full, uncut video of Maya's speech. They shared it everywhere, on his official pages, on news sites, on platforms that once mocked her. But Keanu did not stop there. He recorded a video message too in it. He looked straight into the camera, his voice steady and warm. The world can be cruel, he said. Sometimes people forget that. Behind every headline or photo is a real person, with a family, with struggles. Maya is not just a fan, she's a fighter. She did not ask for this attention, but she has shown more strength than most of us will ever know. I stand with her, and I hope you do too. When Maya first saw the video, she cried so hard her mother had to hold her until she could breathe. Again, she never thought someone like him would fight for someone like her. She never thought kindness could echo so far. Inside the hall, people waited. Keanu had come, just like he promised. He walked in quietly, no flashy lights, no bodyguards pushing people away. He hugged Maya's mother, ruffled Aryan's hair, and told Raj he was proud of him for standing by his friend. Then, Keanu stood on the small stage, Maya by his side. He held her hand in front of everyone, and in front of the thousands watching the live stream. This is Maya, he said. Some of you called her names, mocked her, tried to break her spirit. But here she is, standing, not because she wants fame, but because she refuses to be small just because the world told her to be. Maya looked out at the crowd, her heart beating like a drum. She could see the faces of people who once whispered about her. Some looked ashamed, some clapped, some cried. Keanu spoke again, his voice calm but strong. There are people out there right now who feel alone because they are scared of what others will say. I want you to look at Maya. Remember that one photo does not define your life. People's cruel words do not decide who you are. You do. The hall fell silent. Maya squeezed Keanu's hand and stepped forward. She cleared her throat, her voice trembling at first, then growing steady. I used to think I was weak, she said, but I know now that every time I stood up again, I was proving them wrong. I am not perfect. I'm just human. But that is enough. When she finished, the room exploded with applause. It was louder than any hateful word she had read online. louder than the fear that had kept her small for so long. After the event, people lined up to hug her, to apologize for believing lies, to thank her for reminding them that kindness still mattered. Maya felt each hug like a piece of her broken self being glued back together. Days turned into weeks. The threats and gossip faded. People moved on, as they always do. But Maya did not go back to hiding behind closed doors. She started working with Keanu's charity, helping other people who were torn apart by the internet. She spoke at schools, small events, even sat on panels with people she never imagined she would meet. Amadevi's shop became a tiny community hub where people came to learn how to write resumes, how to protect themselves online, how to stand tall when others tried to push them down. Keanu visited every few months, always quietly, never for show. He came for chai with Sita, brought books for Arjun, and walked with Maya through the crowded market without caring who stared. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Maya sat on the balcony of their small flat. Arjun was doing homework on the floor. Sita was resting with her head on Amadevi's lap, both of them laughing at something on TV. Maya closed her eyes and let the wind brush her face. She knew the world could still be cruel, but now she also knew that kindness could be louder, and that the photo that once ruined her life had given her a story bigger than fear. Somewhere inside, she could still hear Keanu's words from that first night in the cafe. Never let the world decide your worth. And now she finally believed them. Because sometimes one moment of kindness, one stranger's smile, one brave choice to speak the truth can be enough to change everything, not just for you, but for everyone watching, everyone waiting for proof that the good in people can survive. And Maya, she would never be small again.